Ooh, that looks tasty. Welcome folks, today the Hungry Gamer is back with another how to play video. And today we are going to learn how to play the Mariana Trench from Bright Light Games. Now, if you are interested in a even briefer overview and what my thoughts are on the game, then you're going to want to check out the preview video that I did. And you can find a link to that in the description of this video. In addition, in the description, you can also find a link to a solo playthrough video as well if you just want to get a feel for how the solo game works. However, what this video is going to focus on is how to play a two-player game. And obviously, the first thing that you're going to want to do is separate out all of your various cards. And the important details with that are you're going to want to take the 3 oxygen tank cards and put them in this order of 3, 2, then 1. Those are going to go onto the bottom of your draw deck. And this will be explained a little bit later, but this is going to be your timer for the game. Then the next thing you will do is, before you shuffle up all the rest of the cards, you're going to make a decision of, do you want to play with the Creatures from the Deep expansion? Deep expansion is just a little bit more challenging. For this example, we will not be using. Once that is done, you take the rest of the cards and you give them a shuffle. Once you've shuffled, you're going to place 1 card face down on each of these 4 spots in the water column. Then you take the rest and you will place your oxygen tanks again with number 3 at the top of your stack and put them on the bottom of the rest of your cards and place that off to the side. Then each player will select which of the 2 submarines that they would like to play. Mechanically, the subs are exactly the same, they just have different art and different names. In this case, we have the frogfish over here and the shrimp over there. Down at the bottom, you'll have the trench floor with all of your research tokens on top of it. Then each player will take 1 electric charge and place that onto their submarine. And then you'll put them back up at the top of the board next to the research ship. And then finally, you will set aside all of the busted rivet tokens. With that, you are ready to play. The player that goes first is either the last player to have actually been in an ocean, or if neither one of you can remember when the last time that was, whoever is the youngest will go first. The object of the game is to be the player with the most points at the end of the game. You're going to be earning points in 2 ways. Either by collecting research tokens from the bottom of the ocean floor and returning them to the research ship, or by conducting research on the cards in the middle and collecting various sea specimens. And these specimens will be scored in a set collection method at the end of the game. Whoever has the most points at the end will be the winner. On your turn, you have a choice of 2 things that you can do. You can either move your submarine, or you can recharge your sub. We will start with the moving of your submarine because that is most of what you're going to be doing during the game. To start the game, your sub has a movement of 2 fathoms. Each of these cards here represents a single fathom. So in this case, if I were to move the frogfish, I could move 1 fathom or 2 fathoms. And then after you've moved, you get to conduct your research. To conduct research, all you do is you flip over a card, like so. Now, in this case, I have found a giant octopus. Now let's talk about what your options are. The first thing I will say is you will notice right here there is this busted rivet symbol. There are a few creatures, usually giant octopi, that have the ability to harm your sub. And if your sub is damaged, it just means that you take a busted rivet token onto your card, and at the end of the game that's going to be worth -2 points. However, if your sub has a charge, you can use that charge to give a brief shock to the sea creature and it will stop you from being damaged. If you use it, then you remove it from your card and you will not be able to use it again until you take the recharge your sub action, and I will talk about that in just a moment. Once you've flipped over your sea creature, there are a few other things of note on the card. On this side, this is the possible upgrade that you can put onto your sub. In this case, you can upgrade your sub to have a larger cargo hold, which will allow you to get larger creatures. At the beginning of the game, you can only have a single small sea creature. In this case, if we look over here, we'll see that this is a large sea creature, so I could not collect this specimen. However, I could take it and slide it under my card, like so, and now I have an upgraded hold. Now I can either collect a single large sea creature or 2 small sea creatures, and I'll show you those again in just a moment. Now, had I instead flipped over the pelican eel, you'll notice that it is a small sea creature, so now I would have the choice. I could either take it as an upgrade on my ship to increase the size of my cargo hold, or I could go ahead and collect this specimen, and now my ship is full. If I were to later collect a specimen that upgraded the size of my hold before I offloaded my specimens, then I would be able to add a second small sea creature here as well. In the base game, there are 3 different types of upgrades you can get for your sub. We've already discussed the cargo hold, however, there's also an increased movement, and this means that your sub can now move 3 fathoms instead of 2, and the other one is sonar. The way sonar works is at any time during your turn, you can peek at the water column card either directly above or directly below the location that your sub is currently at. Now let's return to the flow of the turn, and let's just assume that I had stopped here, conducted my research, and found this pelican eel, and I decided, yes, I'm going to collect that specimen. I would take it, and I would slide it underneath my card like so, and then my turn is over. All the other cards in the water column would slide down, and you would add a new one to the top of the column. Then it would be the other player's turn, and they would then get to take their own turn, in this case, moving to here, flipping over, and deciding to upgrade their own sub, like so. And again, the water column would slide down, and play would continue. You may have noticed down at the bottom there is the trench floor. And if you ever get down to the trench floor, you can conduct your research, and that allows you to take a single research token and place it onto your sub. I will note that your sub in the base game can only ever hold a single research token. Then, whenever you've decided that you would like to offload your specimens, whether it be because you are full or you're trying to recharge your sub or whatever it may be, all you have to do is, at the end of your turn, end next to the research ship. At that point, you get to offload both your research and whatever specimens that you have collected. Now is also a good time to explain how recharging your sub works. If on your turn you find yourself next to the research ship, you can take an action to recharge your sub. You simply declare that as your action, and you replace the charge token on top of your sub. And that is the gist of how the game works. You're going to play back and forth until eventually you have run through all of the water column cards. And slowly the 3, the 2, and eventually the 1 will come out. At that time, that means that you are out of oxygen and you have to resurface. Both subs will immediately surface, offload whatever specimens and research that they have, and then you will proceed to in-game scoring. Let's talk about how in-game scoring works very quickly. The first thing you'll do is you will give yourself 2 points for every research token that you collected. Then you will subtract 2 points for every busted rivet that you have. In this case, this would mean that I have currently a total of 2 points. Then the next thing you'll do is you're going to look at your specimens. And as you can see, you are looking for runs of cards or sets of cards. And it's very simple to determine whether you have a run or a set. To determine this, you'll be looking at the types of specimens that you have collected. And the type is determined by the symbol on the top right of the card. In this case, you'll see that my tuna fish, my sailfish, and my pufferfish are all of the same class, the epipelagic class, while my giant squid is a cephalopod and my pelican eel is a deep sea class. So in this case, I have a 3 of a kind here, which would get me another 4 points for a total of 6, and then I also have a run of 3 because I have 1, 2, 3 different classes, and that would get me another 4 points. So if we combine that with my research tokens and my busted rivet, that gives me a total of 10 points. Whoever has the most points is the winner. Now the last thing I would like to talk about briefly is how the expansion works, because the expansion is part of the base game. The expansion includes 2 fangtooth fish and 2 sunfish. And you'll see they're each different sizes, and they also have on the side here a new kind of upgrade. First, let's talk about their class. Their class is Wild. The way those work is at the end of the game, you get to choose where they go. You can add them either to an incomplete run, or they can function as another of an already collected class. Then they have the upgrade over here, which is the Research Station. Once you've collected that, you give yourself a Research Station token just as a reminder that you have it, and what it does is it allows your sub to collect 2 research tokens instead of only 1. The other bit of added material in the Into Deep expansion are these Deep Sea event cards. Each one of them is a different prehistoric, perhaps legendary sea creature, and at the bottom tells you exactly what's going to happen if you flip over that specific card. And there's a variety of things. It may damage your sub, it may eat some of your specimens, it may wind up sinking down to the bottom and removing research tokens so they're no longer available. It may eat other fish, or it may just drag you down to the bottom and mess up your plans. And again, all you have to do is follow the text on the bottom of the card to know how it works. And then after you have flipped over one of these cards, whatever player did so immediately gets to take another action. So there you have it, folks. That is how to play the Mariana Trench. As always, I greatly appreciate any comments that you have on how to improve these how to play videos in the future. And again, if you're interested in getting your own copy of this game or seeing any of the other content I've created around it, then you can find links to those in the description. As always, thank you so very much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.